Hi, I'm DK, and today we are doing Chaos Dwarfs unit tier list focusing on legendary difficulty, campaigns, and army viability. So let's start. And first things first, we have Goblin Laborers. So, Goblin Laborers are trash. When the Chaos Dwarfs were released, they had a niche. They could be recruited, and then you send that army to raid Zarnagrund or any territory for laborers, but that was nerfed. And after that, this unit basically has no real value. It's the only advantage it has is that goblins are very small, so the guns can shoot over them. However, dwarves don't really have that issue like taller races, so even that is redundant. And because of that, goblins are going in the D tier. Next, orc laborers. They are slightly better, and they have armor piercing, which is decent niche. They are cheap, so there is some situations where you can recruit them, especially in first couple of turns of the campaign, but later on you really don't have to use them. So I will actually put them also in the D tier because they are only viable for maybe first 10 turns, maybe 20 turns, and then they don't really have any use. Next, cutthroats, hobgoblin cutthroats. They are okay. Like they are basic melee line, basic melee infantry. They can do okay in the early stages. In the gorgeous army, they are actually really good, but don't expect them to do anything spectacular. So you can recruit them in the armies in the early stages. However, you have better options. First, the archers, excellent archer unit for hobgoblin standards or goblin greenskin standards. Um, in the gorgeous army, they are really good, but even without gorgeous, they are okay. And most often, when you recruit hobgoblins, you will actually recruit hobgoblin archers. However, sneaky gits are even better. Now, in Gorgeous Army, any Hobgoblin unit can get stock, but Sneaky Gits have it by default, and they have really good ranged weapon, which is useful against large targets. And if you are recruiting Hobgoblin armies, you most often want to focus on Sneaky Gits. Next, we have Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with spears. They actually have a niche because they have really good charge bonus. And in Gorgeous Army, they have charge bonus of that's equal to about Griffon Legion, something like that. Like I think they have 70 charge bonus or even higher. So in Gorgeous Army, in some specific niche scenarios, you can actually get some value from basic Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, but I wouldn't recruit them. They are borderline trash tier, except with Gorgeous. And there is other unit that's really good. That's Hobgoblin Wolf Riders. If you're recruiting armies, I think combination of Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits and Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with bows is best option. And next best option is pure Hobgoblin Archers. So this unit has about same range as Hobgoblin Archers, except it has really high speed. With Gorgeous also can get stock, so it's even better. And it's your best option when you have to deal with units that you can't deal with that easily in the early stages of campaign. I'm talking about primarily about dwarven units, gyrocopters especially, and slayers. Slayers are faster than your hobgoblins on foot, and you don't really want to fight them in melee. Even they are anti-large, they will make a quick work of any of those hobgoblins. So the best option you have actually is to shoot them with Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, which they cannot catch. And even when they use all of their ammunition, they actually can do okay charging some already damaged units. Even the Dwarven infantry, which is really strong in melee, they couple of Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, if they isolate one unit and charge it, as long as they are not hammerers or slayers. So I'm primarily thinking on Thunderers, Quarrelers, such units, even Dwarf Warriors. They can be okay. With support of Sneaky Gits, it's an excellent army composition for early game. Right, next we have our first war machine, which is Skullcracker. It's a niche unit. It's basically good if you spam it in the early stage of campaign, but very quickly it falls off. It's anti-infantry unit, war machine, that's in the roster that already has plenty of tools to deal with the infantry. Primarily really strong magic, so it's kind of redundant. It can be fun niche doomstack or stack, maybe not a doomstack, but you have better options. And it quickly falls off. Like it will be okay in the early stage of campaign, and already in the mid game, you will probably want to replace it. And another problem is that in the early stage of campaign, and even in the mid game, if you not if you're not heavily focusing on the armaments, you probably don't have enough armaments to unlock 18 or 17 or 19 of Skullcrackers. And if you do manage to get it, you are much better recruiting other units. So it can be fun, but I do not recommend recruiting them unless you just really want to have fun with an army. Okay, so the Chaos Dwarf Warriors with shields, really good unit, um, but a bit redundant. What I mean is that you usually in the early stage of campaign, you're better recruiting cheaper units like Hobgoblin Cutthroats if you need a melee line. And like they are better than Hobgoblins. But yeah, I will also make the tier list from left to right is better than, so the archers are going probably like here. So top to bottom and left to right. So Dwarf Warriors are better than Hobgoblin Cutthroats, but they're redundant because, like I said, you have in the early stage of campaign, you need to spend armaments to recruit them, and their only role is to actually hold the line. They have better shields, but if you in the first maybe 20 or 30 turns, Hobgoblins will do the same job cheaper. So there is no real reason to ever recruit them. And by the time where Hobgoblin Cutthroats fall off, you actually already have better options than just recruiting Dwarf Warriors. There is a niche scenario that in the maybe mid game, later mid game, you want to have couple of armies with strong melee infantry line holders, and that you do not have enough armaments to recruit better units like Infernal Guard. So in maybe in one or two armies you can focus on Dwarf Warriors. However, at that stage they are already falling off because you will face stronger units against these guys are not that amazing. So also if you want, you could make them stronger with Hellforge upgrades, sorry, but that's very expensive, and you also have cheaper unit that can do the same job. So I usually do not recruit them unless it's an emergency situation or something like that. Otherwise, anyway, it's still a okay unit. Next, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. They are also redundant. They have armor piercing. You, as a Chaos Dwarf player, you don't really have problems dealing with armor. You have plenty of options to deal with armor, and they do not have shield. And the only role of melee infantry that's not like bloodletters or like infantry that can deal huge damage is to hold the line. And in this case, like Wolf Warriors are probably better than these goblins, Wolf Riders, but you still want to skip them most of the time. I personally almost never recruit this unit. I don't think I ever did. Next, we have Infernal Guard with Fireglaives. This is the army backbone. Now, I know that some players don't like them because they have fire attacks and fire missile attacks. However, Since I think patch 6.5 or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, but some patch in Warhammer 3, uh, there are a couple of items that were introduced that really negate the problem of fire attacks. Like the biggest problem of fire attacks and fire missile attacks is the fire resistance. Now, before that patch, yes, this unit had a problem with fire resistant units. However, ever since the other Strixer shard, and I think a couple of more items and spells also were changed, this unit now has no real problems because you can strip enemies from their fire resistance, and the fact that they do fire damage is only a plus now. Also, with spells like Ash Storm and couple more items, you can even increase their fire damage. So I really don't see any reason that this unit should be anything lower than S tier. They have longest range for of any gun unit in Chaos Dwarf roster, which is big plus. Like I always try to recruit Fireglaives over other units. Okay, now we have the Great Taurus. Now the Great Taurus in the early stages is not that good. However, once boosted in Hellforge, it's actually really good. It's a fly unit, it's a single entity monster. It can have regeneration from Hellforge. It's only regeneration in melee, but still really good. And the most importantly, all of the Chaos Dwarf flyer units can have stock. So the only real issue for their flyers, which are missile units, is automatically negated, and you can have a lot of value from Great Tauruses later on. In the early stage, you can use them as single units in your armies, or in the later stages, they can even become like not the strongest, but decent doomstack. It's also very cheap. Now the Lammasu is going in a C tier. It's a unit you will probably never recruit. Now, it's not a bad unit, and it has some spells that can cast from Lord of Shadows. However, Lammasu biggest biggest strength is its negating magical attacks near it. However, it's also mount, and this is the problem with many units that also have mount variants that you just don't need them ever. Like you can have Overseer on Lammasu, you can have Sorcerer Prophet on Lammasu, you can have Sorcerer Demonsmith on Lammasu. You will probably have enough options if you need that specific niche to negate magical attacks that you don't really need the Lammasu unit uh, over the hero variant. Like you will always take the hero or a lord and not the unit. So it's a good unit, but it has no place in the roster if you ask me. But again, if you want to recruit it, do it. It's also good that you can split costs among other flyers. So if you don't have enough armaments, you can get a couple of them. But again, I don't really see any reason to recruit them over getting a hero or lord with Lammasu. Next, Kadai Fireborn. These are not great. They are probably top of the C tier, or something like this. They can be made a good doomstack, but it's very complicated and to use. Like you need to back a lot of additions for it to work. You need a couple of Lammasu, but then again, you want to recruit heroes to negate magical attacks. Then you need a ton of Hellforge upgrades to make them viable. Like you definitely need Unbreakable. You definitely need um, missile resistances, and even then, they are only good against infantry. Like they could potentially be good doomstack in specific scenarios, but you're putting a ton of resources to make this unit viable, which is not efficient. If you want to have fun, again, like Skullcrackers, you can recruit them, you can use them. There are much better options. Next, Destroyer, Kadai Destroyer. This is probably the strongest doomstack Chaos Dwarfs can field after you upgrade them with Hellforge upgrades. Before you upgrade them, they are problematic because they are large targets, easy to shoot. So you really have to focus on missile resistance, on missile block chance, and unbreakable, of course, if you don't want them to die, especially if you go like against very strong range factions. But once you upgrade them in Hellforge, they are actually unstoppable. And the only reason people don't like them is that they are not that good in the prolonged fight against infantry. However, that's because you have to cycle charge with them when you are fighting infantry. When you're fighting monsters, they can stand in prolonged fight and deal really good damage. They can go up to 1000 strength. But if you are fighting infantry heavy armies, you need to constantly charge and cycle charge so that their impact attacks do most of the damage. Next, Iron Demon. I really like this unit. Now, I wouldn't really put it into the S tier. I think it's probably over here, top of the A tier. It's a Doomstack material or something like Doom. It's a stack material, let's say it like that. You can get a ton of value of it, especially in the mid game. It's tier 2 unit. It has ranged attack, unlike Skullcracker. It does similar damage in melee to Skullcracker. You also have to cycle charge it, but that cannon that they have on top of it, it really makes a huge difference. And if you're fighting uh, any armies that have mixed compositions, uh, maybe like Empire or even Dwarves, yes, they have cannons that can do damage, etc. But these guys quickly close the range. They do a ton of damage on the approach, and then they smash into the lines and do crazy good damage in melee. So if you have any problems with your armies like Empire, because Empire is specifically problematic because they recruit mixed armies, which does a very annoying thing. They have artillery and range units, and then they lock you down in melee with cavalry. And you can't really push to their backline if you are like any unit with lower mass. But these guys have 5000 mass and also more power ability to just get out of the combat when they want. They are on the slower side, but nothing will really stop them at mid game with 7500 mass. So they can pick their fights, no problem. They are very durable. They are not great in auto resolve, however, because of the low melee defense. But I really recommend this unit. And if not full stack, then as much as you can. They do, however, have a problem that they share the um, unlock slots of the artillery. So that's the only real issue that the Iron Demons have. However, they do compensate for it quite a lot. Next, the Magma Cannon, one of the best artillery units in the Chaos Dwarf roster. I will put it probably over the Iron Demon too, something like that. Maybe over here. They are good against large targets, decent, not great, but decent against large targets. But they are also good against infantry. So if you need an artillery that's good against large targets and infantry, Magma Cannon is the best choice. It's also not that expensive because you will not recruit 10 of those. You will recruit 2 or 3 of those in the armies, maybe 4 top. So the capacity for them is not overly expensive. Deathshrieker, I think this is redundant unit. It's not bad, but it has problems specifically in Warhammer 3 because on the higher difficulties, so the first thing, the Deathshrieker has 2 ammunition types, 2 projectile types. One is single target rocket that's kinda meant to be used against large targets. However, it doesn't do that much damage. And the other one is shot that's similar to mortars. Now the AI is really good at dodging such shots, so unless your target is locked down in melee, this will probably miss. If it hits, it can do a lot of damage to infantry, but then again, you have better options against infantry with the Chaos Dwarfs. So it's not a terrible unit, but it's just there are better options. There are way better options. Now, I also have to say that none of the Chaos Dwarf units are really terrible. Like you have other armies that do have terrible units that are complete, like they would be in F tier probably, most of them comparing to Chaos Dwarfs, but you just have better options in your army, in your roster. So specifically Deathshrieker, you have better options. There is nothing wrong with this unit. In some other rosters, it would be probably be A tier unit, but in Chaos Dwarf roster, you you probably don't want to recruit it and spend the capacity slots on this, like over Magma Cannon or Iron Demon. So let's leave the Dreadquake Mortars for last. Now the Hell Cannon, amazing unit. It doesn't share the capacity slots with other artillery units. It has homing missiles, so it's extremely accurate. Unless the target is in the forest or just behind the walls, it will hit it anywhere. It also can have the highest range of any artillery, thanks to your Lord's Red skill buff. And just amazing. It's not that great against large targets, but infantry, any infantry will die to Hell Cannons. And since they don't share unlock slots, they are really cost effective. Next, Bale Taurus. I would say it's definitely S tier, but just below Infernal Guard for me personally. It's amazing unit, super strong. I used it effectively in all of my campaigns. It has breath attack. It's basically much better version of Great Taurus, but it's much more expensive too. So if you have armaments in the late game, doomstack of Bale Taurus is a good thing. The only problem they have is a prolonged fight against infantry. If they are locked down in the mixed blob of infantry and large targets, so the large targets prevent them from cycle charging and the infantry blobs around them, they are not that good at clearing such blobs. So you will probably need a spellcaster to support them, but it's not a problem for Chaos Dwarfs to support such unit. And I definitely recommend Doomstack of Bale Taurus as one of the best units in the Chaos Dwarf roster. Next, we have 3 Bull Centaur Renders units. Now, I know that many players think that they are pretty similar, and they are, and they can be specialized, like you can recruit one variant over the other, and then specialize the army for whichever enemy you want to fight. Personally, I think the great weapons are the S tier, the dual weapons and shield variants are A tier. Now, here's the reasoning. They're all very similar and great units. However, the anti-large variant plugs the gap in the army rosters. They can kill infantry this reasonably well, but they are amazing against large targets. Now again, these guys are good, but you don't really need more anti-infantry in your armies and in your campaigns. Like you can just recruit Prophet Sorcerer Prophet and use magic to clear the infantry. Shield variants, I guess, can be good against missile heavy armies, but I never had any issues with using great weapon variants in any scenario. So personally, since they share slots and you can only recruit one of them for each capacity unlocked, I think the anti-large variant is the most valuable in Chaos Dwarf armies specifically. Like in certain situations, if you need to defend a settlement and you're attacked by purely infantry armies, yeah, dual weapons are in that scenario better. But overall, great weapons are probably the best choice. Next, the Blunderbusses. I will leave them in S tier because they are amazing unit, but personally I think Fireglaives are better in the campaigns. They are also higher tier than the blunderbusses. The blunderbusses do more damage, but they have very short range. They are very dangerous for your own melee infantry. And however, yeah, they are crazy damage. So you can get huge value of them. Personally, in the armies, I always try to recruit Fireglaives if I can. Another benefit of blunderbusses is that they are much cheaper to unlock. So the slots for them are much cheaper. So you can have more of them, which is also a good thing. But personally, I think the Fireglaives are better. Next, let's do the Infernal Guard first. This is great unit. This is great unit, but the great weapon variant is again redundant. I will, however, leave them like this. Yes, so they are stronger than the cutthroats. If I have to choose between those two units, I would definitely recruit Infernal Guard with great weapons. But if I have to choose between them and Chaos Dwarf Warriors with shields, I would pick Chaos Dwarf Warriors with shields. The Infernal Guard with shields, now that's a different story. They are really good line holders. And one more thing you can do with both of these units is that with I think the trait is called unethical. Yes, unethical castellans reduce the upkeep cost of Infernal Guard by 10%, and if you can even stack it. So, and there are also I think a couple of things that you also reduce the upkeep cost of the Infernal Guard. They can possibly be cheaper than the Chaos of Warriors. That's the reason why they're in the A tier. They do the shielded variant does what melee infantry line holders should do, unlike the great weapon variant. Again, this is the armor piercing melee infantry, so you have better options like any of your guns, any of your monsters will do the same job better. So you can recruit them if you want. They are not terrible. You will not probably not lose campaign because you recruited Infernal Guard with great weapons. But then again, why would you? Like they will do the same thing the blunderbusses do, but blunderbusses will do it 10 times better. Next, Infernal Guard Infernal Ironsworn. Sorry, they are your best unit for melee infantry, best melee infantry unit. Sorry. So these guys are basically Dwarven Ironbreakers, or similar to them. They have similar stats. They have maybe even stronger missile shot. They do fire damage. Again, in the past that would be a problem, but now that's not really an issue because you can. And the other trickster shard item is really common now. Like I have 10 maybe in my campaigns. By the stage I can recruit Infernal Ironsworn. So I definitely recommend a lot of them. They are expensive, but you at that stage, tier 5, tier 4, tier 5, when you can recruit them, um, you don't really have any problems with armaments anymore. Next, we have Goblin Bolt Thrower. Now this unit is great. It is cheap, it's tier 2. I will put it like bottom of A tier. Uh, it does crazy damage, not because it's really good, but because it's numerous. It has 8 models. Each of them, if they shot at large target, it can do okay, really good job. And if they shoot at infantry, each of those shots maybe kill 2 or 3 models, but 8 of them, that's already like 1/3 of a unit, or 1/4 of a unit. And you can recruit, maybe they're cheap, you can recruit 4 or 5 of those in an early game army and have really good results. They are good in sieges, they can destroy towers. So overall, just really cheap and effective artillery unit. If you need artillery and you don't want to spend armaments to unlock slots for magma cannons or even hell cannons, you can use these guys. If you need a siege attacker in an army, just use these guys. They're really good for their cost, of course. Now we have 3 Dreadquake Mortar variants. Personally, it only depends how you plan to use them. Now, the basic variant, I think it's probably top of the A tier. It's static variant. Like this one is slow, so if you plan to use it, you're using it like any other artillery, like magma cannons, like hell cannons. So it's in a static gunline armies. The Dreadquake basic Dreadquake mortar, it's amazing unit, but you have better option. That's the Iron Demon Dreadquake mortar, and I would put it probably just behind the uh, what's it called? Kadai Destroyer. Only because it's not great against large targets, but any infantry or cavalry, uh, this thing will destroy it. Now the Skullcracker variant, I think it's redundant. Because it's amazing unit, but why would you recruit it over the Iron Demon variant? It's only melee. This one has also the canister cannon shot of the Iron Demon and the Dreadquake Mortar shot, and it's similar in melee to this one. Basically, this Dreadquake Mortar is pulled by Iron Demon, and this Dreadquake Mortar is pulled by Skullcracker. So the same logic applies. Why would you recruit Skullcracker variant when you can recruit Iron Demon variant? And it also has the same speed of the Iron Demon of 60. You can skirmish with this unit. Then you can use its secondary shots of the Iron Demon, and then that's it. Like it can be sent in melee, but it's not amazing. It's not terrible. Basically the same as the Iron Demon. It's a tier 5 unit, and it also takes 2 capacity slots. So in many situations you might want to recruit the basic variant just because it's cheaper. But if you can, definitely go for the Iron Demon variant. So this is my take on Chaos Dwarf unit tier list. If you have any problems winning with Chaos Dwarf armies, check out my balanced army build. See ya.